All right, what's good, y'all? This is Audio Freebase. I'm Hype, and we're back with another interview, our first interview of the new year with Emcee Millz. We're excited. She's a dope lyricist. So to start off, I'm gonna let her introduce herself. Tell us who you are, what you do, where you're from, all that good stuff.
What's up, y'all? My name is Emcee Millz. That's Emcee space Millz. Emcee Millz. You can find me everywhere under that name. I'm from Houston, Texas, the best city in the world, baby. Down south, you already know what it is. I've been doing music most of my life, and I just really love it here, man. That's it.
All right, that's dope. So you say you're from Houston. That's really dope, actually, considering your style of lyricism. That's not where I would have guessed you're from. So tell us a little bit about being from Houston and making the kind of music you make.
Right. So being from Houston is honestly amazing because there's such a diversity here. It is a melting pot of a city. You can literally meet any culture, any vibe you can get from this city is quite awesome. Most people know Houston for its chopped and screwed style, especially when it comes to hip hop. DJ Screw, Fat Pat, people like them, Zero, a lot of Houston legends, Paul Wall, also a lot of them have this like Southern drawl, nice and slow kind of bounce to it. So most of the time when I say that I'm from Houston, people don't believe me because listen to my music, they don't really hear that type of like Southern drawl, Southern slang, I guess. But I am definitely from Houston, but I do love a lot of East Coast artists. So I usually get a lot of East Coast comparisons. Like usually I get compared to people like Lauryn Hill, but I think that's honestly because she's the only female artist people could think of.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do get a lot of comparisons like New York, New Jersey style of rapping, which honestly is dope because I do enjoy a lot of East Coast music. So I'm not tripping.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope, man. Yeah, and I could relate to that too, because when I first started rapping, I was living in Georgia. I live in Virginia now, so I'm still technically in the South, but like you said, very, very influenced by the East Coast. So a lot of people will hear me and be like, yo, you from New York? And I'm like, nah, I'm from Georgia. So it's I definitely can relate to where you're coming from. So just give us a little bit of background on like how you got started with, music or, rapping, where did it start for you?
Right. So I've actually been engulfed in music my whole life because mom is a piano teacher. So she
Wow.
piano lessons out of the house. When I was 2 years old, I started playing piano. And so that was kind of my introduction into music, playing the piano, very classical music, a lot of instrumental type of thing. Got older and integrated into my like school. People were trying to also, side note, I also grew up in a very Christian household, so we were not listening to no hip hop, nothing. It was very much gospel music, a lot of Marvin Sapp, Yolanda Adams, a lot of the Black gospel artists, really. So that was kind of my whole music style for most of my childhood life. When I got into school and I got integrated with other people, they were trying to introduce me to other things that they were listening to. And somebody told me that they thought I would enjoy this guy named Tupac. And I was like, oh, okay, I've never heard of him before. So yeah, they put me on to Life Goes On, which is actually is more like heartfelt pieces, and I really enjoyed it. So I went through and I started looking through his catalog, found out that he has a lot more secular stuff. And so that was interesting. And that was kind of my introduction into hip hop as a whole. From rock, I started studying like with the whole East Coast, West Coast beef, started studying Biggie and seeing what he was talking about. I studied Bone Thugs and Harmony because I found them. And then I just kind of hopped around until I found out like hip hop was really like a whole culture and a whole, just a whole scene really that I was not privy to. And so it was really cool being able to learn more about music and learn more about hip hop and rapping. At the time I was doing poetry. And so, I was writing poems and things like that. And it was actually my English teacher in high school who was kind of like, your poems are actually really advanced for your age. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever, get my grades or whatever. But he was like, I really think you can do something with this poetry thing. Like, don't stop writing. And so I was like, okay, cool. But honestly, not really paying it no mind. But it wasn't until I started like putting some of my poems to instrumentals when I realized, oh, I can actually do this rapping thing. Like, this is cool. So I would say that whole transition of starting with piano and then going into listening to secular music, and then being able to realize that my poetry could be music if I wanted it to be. That was kind of my introduction into this artistry thing.
That's dope. That's dope. So were you ever like, because you said like your household was more gospel and your mom being a piano teacher, did you ever like play piano, or were you like doing gospel music at any point, as far as like maybe singing in the church or something?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, being in this family, you were definitely involved in church. I didn't play piano for church, but I did play for my mom's recitals and things. So I still play piano now, actually. We're going on like 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I play classical piano, but when I am in church, I do sing for the choir. Alto gang for life, you already know it. Altos are the best section out there, hands down. I don't care what nobody say. Altos is where it's at. So yeah, I sing alto for church. I used to sing on the praise team for the youth. I also am very involved in just like church ministries and stuff like that. I am the young adult ministry leader. I do some of my raps for church. So one time I did a rap sermon for church. That was cool. And so yeah,
oh, wow.
I'm very integrated in my church, and God is like very important in my life too. So just having that relationship with him and realizing that my gifts could be used in the church in a way that's kind of like unconventional was very dope to me.
Wow, yeah, that's dope, man. I'm actually trying to learn how to play piano now myself. So I mean, hats off to you. 20 years. I know you crazy with it now.
No, yeah. It's quite the journey. And honestly, I as a musical artist, like who makes like music, I think it's very important to at least have some kind of understanding of like an instrument so that you can better understand how to like layer your vocals or how to do harmonies and things like that. Like a lot of the stuff that I incorporate into my music come from my musical background. And so it definitely.
That's dope. That's dope. I like that. So as with you, getting to the hip hop thing, like I said, you're a very, very dope lyricist. And when we kind of got into your music this year, I was like, wow, I really, we need to talk to her, see what's going on, because you was spitting. And so with you, like when it comes to crafting your music, right? What is kind of like your approach when it comes to writing?
Right. So my writing process is sporadic. I'll say that. A lot of times I usually come up with project ideas or concepts first before I even start writing anything. And so like when it came to my EP Growing Pains that I released in 2021, my first idea was I want to do a motif about transformation and change. And at that time, it was kind of about me first stepping into this artistry and kind of getting my foot in the door and figuring out what it is I want to become because of this. And so that was kind of the concept that I went through. When I'm writing individual songs or maybe even features that people offer me, it's a different approach. Usually it's like, if I know it's just going to be a single, my aim is usually to have something a bit more fun or a bit more just like a freestyle type of thing. Just like what really comes to mind. If I feel that it's fun, if I feel that it's really speaking to me, then yeah, I'll write it down. Other times, I honestly couldn't tell you. Like sometimes I feel like God writes the songs himself, because some songs just come and flow in a way that I can't even say I was a part of the writing process. It just kind of comes to me. Other songs I actually have to put in effort to make, but even those, like being able to get them to come out the way that they do seems like a pretty easy process almost. So yeah, I would say my writing process is all over the place, honestly. Some songs take a day, other songs take 3 months. Like who really who really
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah, I think almost every artist can relate to that. I've heard so many artists say that. Like even for me myself, like there've been songs that I'll start like last year and I won't finish to this year because it's just like, it just takes sometimes it has to sit, gotta marinate in your mind. So
Yeah.
I definitely understand. So you dropped as far as I know, 2 singles this year. Um was it more than just 2 singles? Was there anything else that dropped this year?
Let's
This
see.
past this
So
past year in
this
20,
past year in
yeah.
2022 was actually a slow release for me personally, like my
Mm,
music. I did do a couple features with other people, which is out, but as far as my own music, I only dropped Times Have Changed, which was with the producer Skip the Kid. That was dropped
right.
in October. And then
Mm,
I dropped another song with Skip the Kid, but it's actually on his side, called Uncomfortable. And so
okay, got you.
I was a part of his Scottie Pippen Sundays, and so I was super grateful for that. That dropped on Christmas Day. So
Mm-hmm.
those two are like my solo releases. I also did features though. I did features in February for Jesus Soltero, or his name is actually probably Jesus.
Probably.
Now that
Yeah.
I'm saying it out loud. But Jesus Soltero, along with Jay Fortuna and Emcee, I dropped a song called In Loving Memory with them. I have the last
Mm,
that. I also dropped a feature with Poppy Lomaine and Jules Clay. That one's called Trifecta. And yeah, I think that, oh, I also dropped, my bad, I also dropped a feature with Know It All on his album called Music Saved Me Too. And then the
oh
song
yeah.
called Music Saved Us. I also dropped a feature on one of Skip the Kid's albums called F Your Beats. And that one is called Been a Star. So yeah, it's actually been a pretty busy month for features now that I'm,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's a blessing. Yeah, even when I don't drop myself, I'm happy that other people see the value in my work and they allow me to be on their songs too. So that's cool.
Yeah, Know It All and Skip are two very dope artists and producers. I think both of those albums as well made our picks of the week when they dropped. So we'll
Mhm.
have to go back and check those features out again. But
Appreciate
yeah, yeah, we definitely when times have changed drop, I definitely remember Soul Chemist, he does the Kicking It with Soul Chemist mix show. I remember him, he always sends the playlist over to me before they come out, and so I'm always just so impressed by, the people that we hear under, because I feel like a lot of times people think that underground is just like one sound or one, you know what I'm saying, thing. Like,
you. Right.
especially as of lately, I think a lot of people have been associating it more with like the Griselda sound, but it's
Yeah.
like so much more diverse, you know what I'm saying? And so, and what I always have an ear out for is especially for female MCs. Like, I think female MCs don't get enough shine in the underground. So, for you, like, how do you feel like that has been for you as a female MC, like coming through, the underground circuit? Like, has there been any challenges or things that you feel like, you had to overcome?
Right. I would say being a female MC is a bit challenging, but I also wouldn't say that I myself had to really jump through any hurdles, but I would say that just as a genre, hip hop is very male saturated. And so
Mm-hmm.
people have a hard time even just listening to a female voice over a track. So that's the first hurdle. And then
Right.
that above that though, when they do hear a female on a track, they automatically associate it with like a hypersexualized type of vibe, as if that's
Mm-hmm.
the only type of music female MCs can make, which I find almost comical, because if you really look at the stats, like a lot of men make sexualized music too.
Right, right.
To attribute it to female MCs, but it's whatever. I think as a female MC, my main focus is just to like hit people with bars and be like, nah, I can really spit. Like, stop playing with me. Because
Yeah.
like you have to work almost like twice as hard just to get them to hear you. And then if hearing you, you better make sure it's something that they want to listen to or it's worth listening to. So yeah, my main thing is like lyricism is like my main goal when I'm making music. Like, how many double entendres can I put in there? How many like rhyme schemes? How can I switch up the flow in certain areas? Because I want to keep listeners entertained at the end of the day. And it's about showing people like, wow, this chick is like multifaceted. Like, she can sing the hook, she can rap a verse, she can do it fast, she could rap it slow, you know, like I want people to see that there's versatility in what I do. And so I would say that is kind of the biggest thing as a female MC, because you have to show you're like more than this box that they try and put you in.
Right, right. That's dope. Yeah, and I think that that's very important as well. Like, and like you say, I mean, male MCs make, I mean, male MCs, rappers, however people want to call them, make just as much or more sexual music than the female artists do. So that's always crazy to me. Like, I don't understand why people do that. Like, they're like, oh, we so tired of hearing this, but you listen to male rappers who do the exact same thing. So
Yeah.
I definitely understand it. But, I do think that it's important to have, shine the light on female MCs, especially in the underground, where it's like, again, very male saturated. They think only the guys can be lyrical and all that. So, I'm very pleased whenever I get to hear an artist like yourself, come through. So another thing, that I did want to ask, you mentioned being from Houston. I love, one thing about me, like, I don't sound like a Southern artist, but I love Southern artists, especially like Scarface, UGK, you know what I'm saying? You can bring all the way up to Georgia.
Yeah.
So for you, like, has that had any influence on you as, maybe not your sound, but your writing or your approach to hip hop, artists that are from, Texas?
Right. Yeah. I would say that when I was doing my whole learning about hip hop journey, really dope to find out that Houston itself was like a big pioneer in a section of hip hop and Southern rap. So that was very eye-opening to me to see like the possibilities, basically. I would say that I have a lot of Houston artists in my playlist personally, especially when I want that like raw, that kind of like type of feel to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, artists like UGK, Scarface. I've actually gotten a recent comparison to Scarface just because of the amount of vulnerability that I put in a lot of my. And so I think that was very interesting to hear because it was one of the newer ones that's like a name that I usually don't get compared to. And it was dope seeing that shine through. I do listen to a lot of Scarface. I do listen to a lot of UGK, a lot of Paul Wall, a lot of Lil Kiki is in there. Yeah. I also listen to Toby Wigway. He's one of coming out of Houston. So yeah, I listen to a lot of his music as well too. So yeah, I would say that Houston just as a whole, from the city, from the music, just everything about it really does in some way or shape or form peek through in my music and just who I am as a person.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. So for me as an outsider looking in, how would you describe like the Houston music scene outside of like the mainstream stuff? Like how diverse or how would you paint the picture for someone like me who is outside looking in for the Houston underground music scene?
I mean, well, it depends on what you're into. I have a lot of friends in Houston who make music. Case Andrea is a friend of mine. He makes R&B music, very talented singer. I have another friend, Nil. He makes like a Christian hip hop type of music, and it's very good stuff. Like, it's not like Bible thumping either. It's like real raw. He has one called He has one called 45 North, and then he has one called 45 South, which are freeways in Houston. And so it gives you like this chopped and screwed feel of the Houston sound. Who else do I listen to? There's like a lot of artist friends of mine here in Houston that make music. And so depending on what you're into, I'm pretty sure you can find it here. We have R&B, we have rap, we have like pop sound. We even have like that alternative funk thing that's going on now. But yeah, and literally anything you can think of is here in the underground scene. I just feel like it doesn't get as much light as some of the mainstream stuff does. But yeah, if you're really looking, like, you can definitely find that here, like, no doubt.
That's dope. That's dope. And so you mentioned earlier, you know, when you're writing music, you're usually thinking in terms of like a project. So with the singles that you dropped, you know, the one you dropped last year and then the one you dropped early this month, does that mean there's a project in the works for 2023?
There are actually, like, I have so many project ideas in my notes, it's not even funny. But this is the year that I actually released them. Yes, there are a couple projects in the works. People have been loving me working with Skip. And so we have an EP coming out soon, still trying to put some working touches on that, but we definitely have plans to drop a full project because people have really been enjoying the singles that we've been dropping together, starting with his project, the F Your Beats. When I was there with Been a Star, people had loved that one. Then I had dropped The Times Have Changed, which was produced by him, and they were loving that one too. And they were like, hey, we need something like, stop teasing us. We have something in the works coming out soon, so be on the lookout for that. I also have plans in my mind to drop my debut album this year, and so I'm really excited about working towards that. But that's more of a long-term goal, so that's looking like Q3, Q4 maybe. But I do have plans to at least release more music because I'm always working on music, but some of it never gets released. But this year we're releasing, so y'all this year. Absolutely.
But yeah, we'll be looking forward to that. I mean, debut albums they're like, man, they're a hurdle. I'll say that. I dropped mine officially last year, and it was one of those things where it's like you want to make sure you get it right because it's like this your first one, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's like you want to come in on fire. So I definitely understand how that is. So we're definitely looking forward to that. I already know it's gonna be fire.
Thank you.
When did you officially like start dropping music to the public?
I would say at the top of 2021.
Oh, wow. So recent.
Yeah, very recently. I honestly dropped, it's so funny to me because I was in this like artist creative collective Twitter group chat. And so, you know, it would be different producers and artists and stuff in there. And one of the producers in there sent us a beat in the group chat. And he was like, oh, what do y'all think of this? And I was like, oh man, that's fire. And so I was like, I'm gonna do a freestyle over it just to show you like what I'm hearing. I did a quick freestyle over it, maybe like a minute and a half, 2 minutes long. And yo, Millz, this is fire. You need to drop this for real. I was like, yo, I made this on screen record on my phone. Like, but they were like, no, for real, this is the one. This is one of them ones. And so my very first song ever was AA Freestyle, which was the name of our Twitter group chat at the time. And so the AA Freestyle, and I put it on there, and people actually liked it. I was shocked because I was just playing, y'all. Like, this was just But yeah, that was my very first thing ever out. And then once I got the response from that, I was like, oh, I can like actually do this. So I started being more serious. I started like coming up with a rapper name, a stage name, and then I was like, okay, what do I want to put out into the world, you know, because like this, like anybody can hear this, you know, and it was a little bit of pressure because at first I I was playing around when I dropped the first one. And so then I dropped a single called Hot as Ice. That one was cool. I was just kind of having fun and trying to figure out like, what do I want to say? What do I want my sound to be? And that one was kind of like braggadocio. That was kind of just like, yo, I'm really fire. I'm really fire. Like that type of rapping. Dropped a R&B song in February called Sweater Weather. And that one is actually like a hidden gem. Like I even listen to it now, like, wow, this was ahead of its time. But yeah, that was more of me experimenting and figuring out what do I want people to hear from me. And then in April of 2021 is when I dropped the debut EP, Growing Pains. And I feel like that is the most comprehensive piece of work that could talk about me and my experience, and also just the vulnerability there, but also the truth and the hidden truth of being an artist and trying to figure out how to blossom in this industry. That's kind of what Growing Pains was about. And so that felt like the work that most represented me. So yeah, I feel like that's kind of how I came to figure out what my sound is going to be like and what I want people to hear and understand when they put on an Emcee Millz track. So yeah.
That's dope. That's dope. And so you drop R&B music as well.
I mean, technically, I say technically because I really only have that one R&B song, but it was really fire and I enjoyed it. I'm definitely not opposed to R&B. Like I said, I'm singing in church, so like making harmonies and layering songs and things like that's like comfortable to me. Like I like that. I'm not opposed to that at all. But yeah, if R&B artists want to work with me, I'm definitely open. Definitely.
Well, listen, I think, well, number one, I think people who grow up singing in the church tend to have the best voices. So I'm gonna have to check that track out and see what it's sounding like. But also, like I've been meaning to get into R&B, not as much singing, but like producing, songwriting, stuff like that. So like I've been like deep into it lately. So it's always exciting to see artists that can do both. And so I could definitely see you doing like a miseducation type project, and what I'm saying, somewhere down the line. So that would be dope. That would be dope. We need more of that. I feel like that keeps the diversity going in hip hop, and things like that. So yeah, that's dope. So yeah, 2021. I mean, 2020. You said 2020 is when you started officially releasing music.
2020, like at the top of 2021. I want to say January. I want to say 2020 December-ish is probably when that freestyle came out for fun. And then January of 2021 is where I really started like taking my releasing seriously.
Oh, wow. So how long before that have you been like doing music, whether it's like writing it or, outside of just like, playing piano at church, like how long before that were you like, doing hip hop, like making hip hop music before putting it out to the public?
I've been rapping maybe I was like 14-ish. Like I said, I was doing poetry, so I wasn't really calling it rapping at the time.
Right.
Kind of like making poems and stuff like that. But I also was putting my poems to instrumentals, and I would like do these like videos on Instagram where I would do like freestyle challenges or whatever. And so kind of my vibe. I honestly thought that the music thing was just for fun. I was just kind of posting it because it sounded good to me. So I was like, oh, let me put this on Instagram. But people were really commenting, like people have been trying to get me in this thing for a while. And I don't know what I was thinking. Like they were telling me I was talented before I even like truly realized how gifted I was. And so, yeah, they were always commenting like, oh, Millz, like, this is fire. Like, you really ate that, whatever. Like, whatever they were saying back in the day.
Right.
They were like, oh, yeah, this is fire. Like, oh, no, you did that, whatever. And I'll be like, oh, thank you, whatever.
Yeah.
And I would post another and another. But eventually it was kind of like, no, like, you can actually do this. And so, yeah, I started taking it seriously around 2020, 2021. But I want to say since like 2014, 2015, really, I've been rapping and putting up videos on my Instagram. So yeah, I kind of been in this for a couple of years.
Wow, that's dope. That's dope. Yeah, because I mean, yeah, that's a pretty long time. So I mean, for you to just have started releasing recently,
Mhm.
I know that that was like a build up. You know what I'm saying? So that's very dope. And like even I mean that's with social media, that's one thing that I do like. One of the positives of social media is that you can find your community within what I'm saying on within social media and people who are gonna push you to do the things that maybe you were too afraid to do or that maybe nobody in your real life has pushed you to do. So how would you describe like kind of like the community that you've built on social media through hip hop music?
Right. Yeah. I would say, honestly, that Twitter community of hip hop and was very like welcoming. And it was eye opening to me because, like I said, I was first introduced into this like creative collective Twitter group chat. But that was when I was just putting up the just freestyle videos.
Yeah.
To me, I wasn't considered an artist yet. I just knew that I was a creative person and that I could put words together pretty cleverly. And so, I was like, oh, I'm always down to meet other people who are like that. So I thought that was cool that I just kind of got immersed into this group of people who had the same mindset as me and were like, oh, like, and some of them were more advanced, like some of them were already releasing music at that point. Others were just kind of like doing it as a hobby or would play different instruments and things like guitar or something. And I was like, oh, this is a cool group of people.
Hmm.
There, as I like started making friends with them, I started getting like networking with other folks and like making music with other people and things like that. And it was like, wow, like there's a whole like community of people. Like it is a lot of us. It's not like a minority type of thing. Like it is a lot of people on here who are just creative and like some of them do graphic design, some of them do websites, some of them do cover art, some of them do merch, some of them actually make music, but then it's like some of them make like funk music, some of them make EDM, and it's like, whoa, like there's so many opportunities and avenues of people that you can connect with and see through this community. And I thought that it was very dope how they kind of like opened me up to that. Like, I don't think
Hmm.
I've ever been able to see that had I not been in that first group chat. Um, so yeah, when I really started doing the whole rapping thing, I started seeing like other names that would be coming up. And I didn't really know who these people were for real, but I
Right.
in some of the same names and I was kind of like, oh, well, I wonder what they're about. Like I'm in a group chat now with Know It All. He's a really dope artist in this underground scene. And that really opened me up to like a lot of people on the rapping side because
Yeah.
I was like, wow, these people can spit for real. Patty Honcho, Black Chidori was another name that kept popping up. Just a lot of people I was seeing like, yo, these people are wild. Like they could really spit. And so that kind of told me, okay, it's time to like step your game up. Like I know you lyrical or whatever, but it's time to take it up a notch. Like, and then I started meeting other MCs like me, like Back with Sweetie is another female MC that I highly,
Yeah.
she is super dope, super, super dope. Love her
Mhm.
music. Anything she drop, I'm on it. I am on it. Like the second I'd be like, play, here we go. Huge fan. Also the producers on that side, like Skip the Kid, who I've mentioned before, Furious Styles, Numbs, they've both reached out to me before. And I just love seeing everybody kind of work together and be so supportive of each other. Like that's
Yeah.
special to me. So yeah, being in this community is something I love and I appreciate dearly.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's one of the reasons why, we created this platform as well, just to as artists be able to give other artists props. You know what I'm saying? I think
Mhm.
especially within hip hop, we see too many times where people will only publicize when artists are beefing with each other. But it's like let's do something where we're giving each other props and we're showing love, and I think that the underground community, especially, with a lot of the people that you named are really, really good about doing that. So I'm happy that they got you into it because like I said, you're an amazing MC
Oh,
and
appreciate you.
we love what you're doing.
Thanks.
So you already you mentioned a couple of names. You know, you work with Skip the Kid. You've mentioned, you know, Furious Styles and Numbs. Are there any other like producers? Let's even open it up to like mainstream producers, right? Like underground and mainstream producers that you're looking forward to working with in the future.
Right. So I would say one name that I heard on Black Chidori's album White Melodies was Sovereign. I had really enjoyed her style of producing. That was fire to me. Um, Off top, I don't really like off top. I can't really think of names like that. Like I have worked with Numbs before, but I would like to work with Furious Styles, and I want to do like a project, you know, not just like a one-off song. That would be dope to me. Skip the Kid, like I said, we've worked before, and that process has been very smooth sailing. Excited for that. I'm also looking forward to working with Blank Thought. He's cool. I is kind of like grungy type of style, but also incorporating elements like saxophone, piano. Those are really like my heavy hitters. Like if it has sax or piano in it, I'm like, oh yeah, let me cop that. I also seen that Black Chidori has been getting into producing. I want to see what that's about. I would love with him. That would be cool to me. Yeah, and honestly, if any producer is down to work with me, I'm usually pretty open. Like I'm like, oh yeah, I'm always welcoming collabs. Like I'm never trying to be like standoffish. Like I absolutely would welcome working with other people and collaborating with them. So yeah, if anybody knows me and would like to work with me, by all means, hit me up. I am open.
Definitely, definitely. That would be dope. Yeah. And I think Sovereign, she also produced, she's done some tracks for like West Side Gun
Yeah,
and
I
stuff
have
like
seen
that too.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So she's super dope too. I follow her on Instagram and I hear her stuff all the time. And so yeah, that's dope. So what about on the artist side? What are there any artists that you're really looking forward to being able to work with in the
Word.
future?
Absolutely. Like I said, huge fan of Backwoods Sweetie. Would love to get on a track with her. Absolutely.
Hmm.
I'm also a huge fan of Patty Honcho. He has been on the most amazing feature run that I have seen. Like
Yeah, he's killing it.
his last year, he's been killing it on the feature side, and he also released his own projects too. He released Action,
Hmm.
which was an EP, and then even earlier in the year, he released Life, which was a project that he did with Numbs. Really enjoy his work. Would love to get a verse from him, but I know that's probably gonna cost me a bit, so I need to I need to save up for that one. I was on Know It All's song, so I would love to get him on one of mine eventually. Um,
Hmm.
Also other people too. Like I would like one of my dream features is Rhapsody. Oh, I would love a Rhapsody feature for sure. And then
Yeah.
No Name, but she don't really make music anymore, or kind of does. I don't know. She's been taking a break, a hiatus, but I would love
Hmm.
her on a track as well. As far as people I would like to work with, I am also looking forward to working with um hmm, yeah, I think that's about it. Like as far as producers and artists, I think that's about it. But yeah, a lot of opportunities have been opening up for me as far as features and stuff. And so I'm super grateful for like that. Like I just really like collaborating and coming together with other people and making art together because I don't really feel like art should be like a solo thing. Like
Exactly.
I feel like it's definitely a collaboration, definitely a coming together of ideas, of elements, of whatever. And so, yeah, collabing is always on my plate. Oh, Lil Derek, definitely looking forward to working with him too. He's been doing some amazing work with Dope Sean. He's a producer that I would like to
Hmm.
with soon. So I'd say that's about the list right there.
Yeah, I mean that's a super dope list, and I think I mean I don't know. No Name said she was supposed to drop an album last year, and we ain't get it. What was it? Factory Baby.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Factory
still
Baby.
waiting.
I
Yeah, I'm
know.
still waiting. I'm still waiting, man. But I understand where she's coming from. You know, sometimes the world can burn you out. But now that's a super dope list of artists, and like you said, music is like supposed to be collaborative and you know, a coming together of ideas and vibes and things like that. So
Yeah.
that's why I always love being able to collaborate with somebody new, you know, new ideas, new sound, new vibes. Like I'm down to try any new thing that sounds dope, you know. So so yeah, I definitely support that as well. So
Word.
with
We got to get one in together too, man. Say less.
listen, I'm telling you, I produce, I write, I'm trying to do it all, you know, and with our platform, you know, we have audio Freebase Radio, but we also have audio Freebase, which is like our, I don't really know what to call it, if it's a label or like, but you know, Soul Chemist and we're trying to get into like executive producing albums and you know projects for artists because that's something that we did with my debut, and we just kind of really enjoyed that. So we have a couple of artists right now that we're doing that for, you know, executive producing their, you know, upcoming projects. So I mean, if you ever need, you know, you ever need a project executive produced, we got beats, we do mix and master and all that. So, you know, it's like a
Yeah.
one-stop shop for sure, for
Word.
sure. Yeah,
Appreciate
but
that. Yeah, I will
no,
be
no
hitting you
doubt.
up.
Nah, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. You know, and here and I've been talking about like I said, we're trying to break into like the R&B space because I feel like it's especially like underground R&B, you know,
Mhm.
trying to bring those two worlds together, like underground hip hop and underground R&B, you know. So, you know, when you ready for that R&B album, hit us up
Say
too.
less. Say less, bro. Say
Yeah.
less.
Yeah, so you know, with you being able to also like play music, are you producing? Will you get into producing? Is that a thing that you see for yourself?
I see it for myself in the future. As far as
Hmm.
I am not producing, but I also am very heavily involved in like the producing process of my songs. So like
Right.
when because I can hear things in my, like, this sounds so wild when I say it, but like hear things in my head and I'm like, oh yeah, like a chord here or like a minor chord there, like would really bring about a song, you know. And I can like hear those elements, and it's very hard when I don't produce to try and like explain it to the producer. So I'm usually in my voice notes like like that's what I need you to put here. And then
Yeah.
I'm like doing all this stuff like through my voice notes to try and execute the sound that I hear in my head. But I feel like once I have like the funds and the equipment to really like dive into that myself, it might be a little easier to do like self-produced projects because I can hear a lot of the sounds and stuff in my head already when people send me tracks. I'm like, this is cool, but we could elevate this by doing this, that. And so
Right.
I think that producing is somewhere in the future. I'd say very nearly, like maybe a year or two from now, you might catch me producing too.
Yeah, that's I think that's gonna be dope too. Like I think especially for people who have a strong background in music, you know, like
Mhm.
one of my closest friends and someone you know, I do a lot of production with. His name is Jay Keys. And he has a very strong, he played in the church. I don't know if he still plays in church, but like for most of the time I've known him, he played in the church. You know,
Mhm.
we both went the same college. He got a degree in like music theory, so like he knows like
Oh
all the
yeah.
music stuff. So like I'll go to him, I'll be like, I want you to do this, this, and this, and like I don't I don't know the name of the chords and nothing, and he just like get on there and just go crazy with it.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
just like I know once you're able to do that, once you know get the stuff in front of you to do it, I know it's gonna come out amazing. Like you know, I
Right.
always look up to people who can do that kind of stuff because it's just like so interesting to me. So so yeah, definitely looking forward to that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like from everything you're saying, like there's just so much, you know, like potential that you have. Like how with only having like a few songs out, like how do you not have the urge to just like go crazy and just like put out a bunch more? Because I know that's what I did when I, you know, when I finally started putting out music to the public. Like it's just like I just felt like I'd been holding on to this potential for so long. I was just like
Right.
dropping, you know. So it's like, how do you pace yourself, you know, through it?
Right. So I usually pace myself because in my mind, I usually already have like release plans. So like
Hmm.
even with this EP that's coming out with Skip soon, I already kind of have it factored into how I want the year to look like as far as my releases. And so I kind of go based off of that release plan. But also what's crazy is like, I might have a plan, but then I also want to be spontaneous with the music. Like, I don't want it to seem so like rigid and so scheduled either. So like, I have a plan for like three projects this year. And then if I get an idea in the middle of April and I'm like, oh, actually, I want to make this EP instead, then I'll switch to that and I'll make that EP. But yeah, I do want to be more consistent about releasing, because I feel like this past year for me was like 2022 as a year for me was kind of slow with the releases. And I felt like, oh, people are going to forget about me or whatever. Like a lot of the self-doubts that usually sneak up when you feel pressured to release. But also at the same time, I'm like, the same way I'm waiting on No Name to drop, people will wait on me to drop as long as it's quality work. Like, as long as you put in the effort and energy into your music, I feel like people will receive and respect that and be like, no, I'm willing to wait for something if it's going to be something good, you know?
Right.
So yeah, I try not to put too much pressure on myself to release. And so that's why I'm kind of comfortable with slowing down. But this year, y'all getting releases. Y'all listen, y'all want to get fed, y'all are gonna eat this year. Emcee Millz is going to be feeding y'all. It is going to be a heavy year for releases this year, because I felt like I was starving y'all last year. And so this year we're gonna make up for that for sure. But I do want to like really emphasize that as an artist, don't feel pressured to have to release something just because you need to, or it's been too much time or whatever. Like, don't feel pressured to have to release because you want to release. So yeah, I just want to free anybody out there that might be under the shackles of like pressure from others or even pressure from yourself to release content or whatever. You don't have to feel like that. Like, it's going to be okay. Just make sure you focus on like creating your best work.
No, definitely. And I think that's important too. Like, you talked about having a release plan, with your music. Like, how important do you feel that is? Because one thing that I always, say to myself and to other artists is like, especially as a artist who, if you don't have a bunch of resources available to you, you want to focus those resources, as many of those resources, into the least amount of projects, so you're not spreading them thin. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, how important do you feel like that's going to be in like, your trajectory, just having a release plan? Because I feel like a lot of artists are just kind of comfortable with making a project. They'll tweet, oh, I got a project coming out. They'll put it out, and then that's it. So, how do you feel like, you're going to move different from that, from that kind of mindset that a lot of people have now?
Right. So I plan out like a lot of things. Like, that's just how I am as a person. I am a planner. I'm very organized in like everything that I do. And so for me, when it came to applying that to the music, I understood that the music itself takes planning, like as far as creating the verses and the choruses and whatever, all of that takes planning. The sequencing of the project takes planning. And then if I'm putting this much effort into planning the actual music, of course, I'm going to want people to listen to it and hear it. So I need to also put that same amount of energy into promoting it. So I tend to do some promotion before the project drops, just getting people anticipated, excited or whatever. I might drop a single to let people know like, oh, this is what you can expect coming up. And then after the project release, I'm also very heavily still doing promo, letting people hear the links, also doing like I wouldn't call them dance videos, but like just kind of getting people different mediums of being able to hear the song in case they don't click the link. So I might like say a verse from the link in like a spoken word type of way, or I might do like a dance or like a fun video to the chorus of the song or something like that. Like, I'm very adamant about promoting even after it releases so that people can still hear what you made, because it doesn't make sense to spend all that money on beats, on equipment, on time time is money.
Right.
It doesn't make sense to spend all that effort and energy and then nobody hears it. Like, what? Like,
Yeah, that's facts.
that's not the move. And so yeah, I also suggest even promoting some of the things that you think are your old music, because you have new followers every day, or you have new like encounters with people all the time, and they might not know your old stuff. And so yeah, what's old to you might be new to somebody else. So make sure you are consistent with promoting even the stuff that you feel like is from way back then. So yeah, I say that the planning part of the music is actually very integral to the success of the music. And so
Right.
I think if people put more effort into the planning, they would see like a change in like streams, listens, whatever like your metric for success is. But I feel like they're directly correlated. Like if you promote a lot, more likely it is that more people are going.
Yeah, and I also think like a lot of people get discouraged when they put out music and they might feel like it's not getting as much
Right.
attention as they thought it would get. So they kind of get, it's not like a feedback loop. Like they kind of get discouraged from pushing it. So it's like now you're not pushing it, nobody else is gonna hear it. So of course it's not gonna get shared. But again, that's why we try to use our platform to, and whenever we put somebody's music on our platform, they tend to share it. So that's, we try to create a positive feedback loop for artists. So I
Yeah.
mean, whenever your stuff is ready to go, we're here to support, and we're here
Appreciate
to
you.
push it to the people for sure, for sure.
Yeah,
So
I really do appreciate y'all's platform for real, because I heard my song getting mixed and scratched up by Soul Chemist. I thought that was so fire to me. Like I was like, no way, bro. That is crazy. So yeah, I definitely appreciate y'all putting on for the underground. Like that is huge. Like, and it really does, like as a creator, hearing your work and hearing other people value your work is like huge. It's like, yo, wow, that is an amazing feeling for real.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, because I know how it felt for me, like first time hearing somebody play my song on their show, and so it's like we want to make people feel that way, and we always
Yeah.
try to look for artists that is like, this person might have 10 followers, they might not have any followers, they might have just got on social media, but as long as the music is dope, we're gonna put it out there because we want people to hear it because we like it, and we think that good music matters more than just is the music being good is more important than how many followers you have or
I
how many
agree.
streams you have or the clout and all that. So, again, like I said, it's just about trying to create that positive feedback loop and, getting artists more engaged with them, with their own music and, and promoting it as well. So for sure, like we appreciate that y'all appreciate what we do because that also makes us feel good. So
Yeah.
thank you very much. So yeah, so you've named a couple of artists that you say people compare you to, but who is in your actual, like your personal top 5 artists?
Like of all time?
Yeah, like artists that, yeah, like your top 5 hip hop artists of all time.
Okay, so my top 5 all time
Mm-hmm.
comes from like different aspects, because I do enjoy like some aspects from one artist and I learn from take from that. Then I like some aspects from another artist. So at the top of the list, No Name. Love that girl so much, man. I cannot tell you how much I be streaming her music. She is at the top of my list. One of the things that I really enjoy about her is just how poetic her style sounds.
Mm-hmm.
I also like the way she tends to take abstract concepts and then put them into this kind of like symbolic verse. Like a verse off of Casket Pretty talks about violence in Chicago and how a lot of people are dying, but because of the way it's juxtaposed with the music, it's almost in a like mellow, okay type of tone, like, oh, everything's okay type thing. And so I really like her way of symbolism in doing that. So yeah, love her. She's at the top of my list. Right underneath her, Lauryn Hill. Like, honestly, now that I'm saying them out loud, I'm pretty sure like most of these are going to be women. But yeah, Lauryn Hill.
That's cool.
Right there, number 2. She is a pioneer really for this whole female in music type of thing, and just being able to show how you can mix and blend different styles and it can be accepted. Like you don't have to stay in one box. Like Mixed Education has reggae styles, it has R&B songs in there, it has like rap songs in there. And so like just being able to see a fusion of elements, I really enjoy that from her. Number 3, I think I'm gonna put J. Cole. J. Cole was very influential to me throughout my middle, high school, college arc of coming into creating music. Really enjoy a lot of his earlier works like Friday Night Lights, where he really has that like hunger and that passion to like, I can really do this. Like I can make it. Like I need people to hear me because I'm fire. Like that.
Yeah.
Right there is like very important to me. And I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose my fire. I don't want to lose my hunger for this. Like I don't want to lose my passion. And so that part of Cole, I really enjoy, really, really enjoy. So yeah, he's gonna go at number 3. Number 4, I'm gonna do 2 names for number 4. I like Busta Rhymes and I like Missy Elliott, and I feel like I like them both for the same reason. They're theatrical, they're kind of like out of the box style when it comes to like how they rap and like their vocal inflections and things like that. I really think that is like dope to see, that you don't have to, like your voice itself is an instrument. And so how you use it and how you twist it and how you can manipulate your voice to sound like different things can be even more of a propeller to your music. Like it can elevate it up even more. And so I like those 2 for that reason as well. Also like their style and their fashion in their like music videos, and the way it's kind of like not just a one box thing and you're just looking at one thing, you know, like it's a lot of moving parts. It's a lot of different angles and different shapes and experiences. Like it's a movie, really, is what it is. And so I like their level of, excuse me, I like their level of creativity when it comes to the passion and the theatrical nature of their art. So I'll put them in number 4. My last spot, boy, oh boy, there's so many names I have left name. I think I'm gonna put Bone Thugs and Harmony in number 5, because they were one of the ones that I got introduced to early on when I was learning about hip hop. But I had really enjoyed how they were a group, but they were doing like this melodic style of rapping, but it was also fast and it was also lyrical. Like it's not like they were just kind of singing things. It was actual messages and words that were being portrayed through their music. And so I really enjoyed seeing that, especially as a group, like not just one person was excelling, like all of them could really rap. And so I enjoyed seeing a collective of people being able to execute at that level. And so, yeah, I would say that's my top 5. I'd say that's my top 5.
That is probably the most unique top 5 I have heard in a long time.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, you know, people will go with the typical names you hear in the top 5, but I think that it being so unique also shows how honest it is, right? Because you know, everybody ain't grow up on Nas, Jay, Biggie, you know, whatever. Like, you know, because even for me, like when I first started getting interested in hip hop, my first favorite artist was Drake, and that was around like 2010.
Yeah.
And then it was Lil Wayne, and then it was Kendrick, A$AP Rocky. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you ask me, you know, of course now my top 5 is a little different, but like the people who've influenced me and shaped my sound, is, you know, it's very outside of the typical top 5 as well. So you know, I like that it's unique and it's honest, and you know, gave a good explanation as to why that is as well. So yeah, that's dope. That's super dope. So one of the questions I always like to ask people towards the end of our interviews is, what are 3 things that you feel describe you? They could be 3 words, 3 adjectives, just 3 things that you feel encompass Emcee Millz and what it is that you do and who you are.
Wow, that is a good
It's a
question.
tough one.
Yeah, because like trying to narrow it down to three to encapsulate my whole like being and aura is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
The top, off the top of my head, the first word that comes to me is creative. Because even when I wasn't doing music, I was always drawing or painting or playing piano or doing something in some kind of creative outlet. And I feel like that's always gonna be who I am at the core of my being. Like I am a creative person and I exude creativity like out into the world. So that's like off top, that's number one. Number two, I want to say hardworking. I'd want to say hardworking because when I really set my mind to something, there is literally nothing that can stop me. Like I told myself I was gonna graduate college in 3 years, and people were like, "Oh, that's kind of crazy, that's gonna be a lot of work, yeah, yeah, yeah." And I sure did. I sure did graduate in 3 years because I I really value my word. And so when I say I'm gonna do something, then it
Hmm.
happens. And I put the effort and the work into it. And if it doesn't happen, just know that I did everything in my power to make it happen. So yeah, hardworking is gonna be my second one. Very determined when I get a goal, like extremely determined. Some would say that's a like a low key, like some people say that's kind of like a stubborn quality, but I'm like, hey, it hasn't failed me yet. So that's gonna be my second one. We have creative and then we have hardworking. Um, this is my last word. I wanna use a word that talks about like who I am as a person. And I wanna say, like, I wanna say honest, but not really honest. I wanna say authentic. I think that's gonna be the one because
Mm.
I try my best to show up as my authentic self when I am making music, when I am like just even speaking to people in like a regular way. Like I want people to really understand that this is me. Like you're not getting like the Emcee Millz is not really much different than Amelia, like who I am as a person. And so I want people to know that they're getting my authentic self and that and hopefully they, respect that and that they enjoy seeing parts of me that I choose to show them. So yeah, I think authentic would be my last word. So yeah, we got creative, hardworking, and authentic.
That's good. That's good. I think those are very strong three, and
Mhm.
I do think from what what everything you've told us so far, I think that definitely sums up who you are as a person.
Mhm.
And lastly, just let everybody know where they can find you, where they can find your music, where they can go to support, and
Right.
all that good stuff.
What is good, y'all? It is Emcee Millz. That is EMCEE space MILLZ. You can find me everywhere under that name, Emcee Millz. I am on Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, Tidal, anything that you can think of that streams music, I'm on there. I have a YouTube channel called Emcee Millz. Make sure you subscribe. Definitely trying to be more consistent on there. As far as my Instagram and my Twitter, they're both MC_Millz. That's EMCEE_MILLZ. So as long as you type in Emcee Millz, you should be able to find me. Last I checked, I was even Googleable. Like you Google. So yeah, if you can't find anything else, just type in Emcee Millz on Google and then it should show you who I am. So yeah, definitely follow me. I appreciate everybody who follows me. I usually follow back as long as you're not like some kind of bot with like 17 numbers after your name. And so yeah, I'm definitely down to have more people on this journey with me. And like I said, I plan on releasing a lot this year. So I would love to have y'all be a part of that. Follow me and let's see where we can take this.
All right, that's dope. Thank you very much for your time. It was great having you on here
Man,
and,
appreciate you.
learning everything you have planned for the future, everything you've done. I mean, it was a lot of great insight into Emcee Millz, the person and the artist. So thank you
Yeah.
very much, and we appreciate your time. Any last words before we close it out?
Honestly, I just want to say thank you for having me on, man. Like I truly appreciate this opportunity to be able to share more about me, more about my artistry. And, you know, I appreciate that y'all have a platform that uplifts underground artists. So yeah, thank you so much for having me.
No problem, y'all. This has been Audio Freebase again. It's hype. We've had Emcee Millz. This was a dope interview. Y'all stay tuned for everything she got coming. Peace.